Today, we're digging into a court judgment that is so significant, it's really making people talk about police accountability. We're going straight to the source material, the official court documents, to understand a case that has absolutely sent shockwaves through the justice system. So let's get right into it.
Right off the bat, here's the headline that got everyone's attention. 9 police officers sentenced to death. I mean, how does a case even get to that point? That's what we're going to unpack here. We're going to trace the entire path from the crime itself all the way to this pretty unprecedented judgment. Just to understand exactly what happened.
Okay, so to really get your head around that shocking verdict, we've got to rewind. We have to go back to the beginning. Our story kicks off in the city of Madurai with a judgment handed down from the local sessions court. This right here is the document that started everything. And this is it, the official judgment. You can see the date right there, April 6, 2026. This single document holds the entire story, from the very first incident all the way to the final sentencing. By sticking to this source, we can cut through the noise and get straight to the facts of the case. At the very heart of this case, you have 9 individuals, all of them police officers. You know, seeing their names all listed out like this, it really drives home that these aren't just statistics or numbers in a file. These are the 9 men who actually stood trial. Now, take a look at the timeline here. Everything, and I mean everything, at the core of this case unfolded over just 48 hours back in June of 2020. That incredibly tight time frame is absolutely crucial for understanding the prosecution's whole argument about how quickly and tragically events escalated. So, with the crime established, the focus immediately shifted to the investigation. And, well, a case this serious was never going to stay with the local police for long. Pretty soon, the investigation would end up involving 3 different agencies, each one more powerful than the last. This timeline right here shows you just how fast the stakes were raised. The case starts with the local police on June 22nd. Just 8 days later, it's already escalated to the CBCID, which is the state's top crime investigation unit. And then, only a week after that, it's taken over by the CBI, India's top federal investigative agency. That kind of rapid climb up the ladder tells you everything you need to know about the intense social and political pressure that was surrounding this case. So with an investigation that big, you might be wondering, what exactly were these 9 officers charged with? Well, the prosecution built its case using several key sections of the Indian Penal Code, or the IPC. Let's take a look at what those main charges were. You can really see the prosecution's strategy when you look at these charges together. It wasn't just a murder charge. You've also got criminal conspiracy, which suggests this was planned. And then you see charges for disappearing evidence, fabricating false evidence, creating incorrect records. Taken all together, these charges aren't just pointing to a single act of violence. No, they're painting a picture of an alleged systematic cover-up. So after this incredibly long investigation and a trial that looked at all of these really serious charges, the big question is, what did the court ultimately decide? How did they weigh all the evidence the CBI brought against these 9 police officers? And that brings us right to the final act of this whole legal drama, the verdict and the sentencing. The court's decision was completely unambiguous, and the punishments they handed down? Well, they were among the most severe possible under Indian law. The court's decision was just sweeping. All 9 officers were found guilty, not just a few of them, but every single defendant. A unanimous conviction like that sends a very, very powerful message. This table really breaks it down, and you can just see the severity here. For things like destroying evidence and faking records, they got 7 years of rigorous imprisonment. For wrongful confinement, another year. But for that central charge for murder, the court went to the absolute maximum penalty available. 9. Just let that number sink in. That's the number of serving police officers who were sentenced to death in a single case for the crime of murder. It's a number that just underscores the truly exceptional nature of this verdict and the severity with which the court viewed their actions. The judgment uses this exact, chilling phrase: to be hanged by the neck until death. For the crime of murder under IPC 302, there was 0 ambiguity in the court sentence. It was the death penalty. So, as we wrap up this deep dive into the court's judgment, we're left with a really big question. A verdict this severe against 9 members of the police force is incredibly rare. So, does this signal a new era of accountability, or will this case just remain an outlier?
It's a question that really makes you think about the broader balance of power, justice, and responsibility in our society.